All right, diving in today, we're going to look at a project called Adshares. As many of you guys know, we've talked about this one before. We've taken a look at from an analytical side of things, but I really wanted to dive in a little deeper with the project itself. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into TechPath. Today we're going to do that with Jacek Studziński, who is one of the leaders over here at Adshares, and I want to learn a little bit more about this, Jacek, and kind of dive into what Adshares is doing. But first of all, thank you so much for stopping in on the show today.
Paul, thank you so much for having us, because I must say this has been on our objective list to get on the Paul Barron Network show. That was
cool.
from day one. We knew that this is a milestone for us, a major achievement. So thank you very much, and congratulations, because we know you found us somehow.
For sure, Jacek. I want to dive into, for some of our audience out there, Adshares, maybe they've seen our recent video on it. Maybe they understand a little bit about how advertising is going to work in the metaverse. But give us kind of a high-level overview of what Adshares is trying to do for the new listener or viewer on our show today.
Where do I even start? I mean, what we're trying to do, to put it very short, is to switch, to transform, to transplant today's digital and programmatic advertising to a blockchain technology. Mm-hmm. For the viewers that are not familiar with neither the advertising business or the blockchain business, surrounded every day by screens. We are exposed to about 3,000 advertising messages every single day. And we have 800 million ad blocker downloads to prove that consumers don't find it very useful anymore. So the level of saturation with advertising and the level of trust in advertising is exactly opposite. And the experts say, the likes of PricewaterhouseCoopers or Kearney or IBM, that blockchain can heal a lot of these problems, because usually in today's world, if you want to advertise your company, so between your company and between your wallet and the first publisher, first site where your ad will run, there's approximately 23 intermediaries. Yep. And approximately 50% of your budget are just lost away. Mm-hmm. So what blockchain technologies are actually doing, they're putting transparency into that equation, but it's not like we're trying to add blockchain to something in today's world.
Exactly.
What we are trying to do is take all of the addressable advertising and connect it with one blockchain protocol.
Yeah, so Jacek, when you guys are talking about, I want to interrupt there. When you're talking about this, because you're really kind of outlining the whole aspect of ad tech, and ad tech has, over the past decade, has pretty much dominated the space. We've seen a massive shift from advertising from traditional media, which has been mostly newspapers, print, and even online media to a certain extent, that has all transitioned over to programmatic advertising, and a lot of ad tech that essentially runs on Google, whether you're doing Google search, you're doing Facebook ads, all those kind of scenarios. So the evolution of advertising is really kind of at the threshold right now of entering into the metaverse and or blockchain, because there's going to be so many different applications and scenarios like that. Do you think we'll see the traditional ad tech that we have today, that we know today, moving into blockchain and metaverse advertising models, or do you think we'll see a recreation of how advertising will be done in the metaverse?
It's a very important question, and I must say it all depends on, because history doesn't repeat itself, it often rhymes. Mm-hmm. So if you think about the old world companies like mail operators, mail, like physical mail, they could have been dominators in the email industry, but they just chose to defend their old models. So the ones like Google or any email provider for that matter just dominated the space and actually killed classical post, you might say. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think the same exactly can be applied to the metaverse. If current ad tech feels the pressure from regulators, from experts, from data analysis, from reports talking about how the model becomes unsustainable and ineffective. If they say, okay, we need to do something differently this time and switch to blockchain, the solution is ready. It's one phone call away. I don't want to advertise too much, but it is there. But if they say our model is okay and our partners are trustworthy and we'd rather, pursue this current model instead of switching, because there will be growing pains. There will be transplantation is not a painless process. We need to change some of the ways, change some of the structure companies, maybe hire new people who are more blockchain literate, and hire people who can work as an interface between, for example, your currency, which is very important for advertisers to pay for their campaigns in the currency that they know, not having to exchange that and wrap it into Adshares. So
yeah, I think, and there are going to be some elements like that for sure, because you are going to have kind of this transition process.
Yeah, exactly. So we would say it's a decisive period. We already have this. I really can't say any word more, but a global partner that could be a tipping point to become a network that really can offer many thousands of publishing. But so far, we are at the beginning of the snowball effect. It requires the three sides to work together: the publishers to join the block solutions, advertisers to see potential in there, and users, of course, to start flocking into the metaverse, because we know there aren't so many. A couple of thousands, maybe, 1,000 users in Decentraland or CryptoVoxels every day. So we are really early stage, but those who will decide to be here in the early stage will win. Otherwise, there will be blockchain-based companies that will dominate the space in a matter of the next 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right, because we are seeing a transition really in traditional finance, obviously with DeFi and just the inception of what traditional cryptocurrencies are kind of doing right now in terms of dismantling how finance is being done. It's really kind of an evolution, and this is something that I've talked to many fairly smart people, I think, when it comes to blockchain tech, is that we are in an infancy stage in which is very similar to what it was, in the 1990s when the internet essentially was born, and we saw a complete rampant effect of how the internet just took over pretty much every aspect of business that we know today. Likelihood is we're going to see that happening here in Web3, and especially around, obviously, traditional finance. But advertising is one of the next major milestones that will be addressed, I think, to really kind of make this jump to the next level. With that being the case, you guys are going to need some good partners. You're going to need a lot of funding and financing. You're going to need, obviously, some rollout on your token. What are some of the things you're doing right now? First of all, from a partnership side of things, let's talk about just the investor side. What does that investor stack look like? And who are the key partners that you guys can talk to us about here on the show today?
Adshares is in a very convenient stage of development, because the ICO was in 2018. There was a seed investment phase where we had a couple of larger investors, and we collected around 9,000 Ethereum in the coin offering. And this investment has been sustaining the company until this day.
Okay.
So we are pretty good. We are using the resources that we've collected in order to advertise more. But right now, our main objective, and most of the investments goes into fame, so to say. We need partners. We need to be featured. We need talk to people. And basically, to put it very short, we need the ad tech industry to realize that we're here.
Yeah.
That the blockchain solution that they have been hearing about, that they are looking for, is actually here and it's ready to implement. This is our main goal. But in terms of investment, we're not looking for investors. We are hoarding partners. And as you mentioned, community. But we would never expect it that the community is not just individual investors, that a huge ad tech company come on board, not just buy services from us, but actually brainstorm with us, advise us, that we could think about solutions together. This is the kind of community we are seeing going forward. Very competent people, especially in the advertising and media industry, that would help us what they need, because as I'm saying, we're approaching a tipping point. We're feeling it in tips of our fingers that the tipping point is here. If we sign up, if we build awareness of the brand, talking in a classical ad language, we need to build brand awareness and the benefits, and they're pretty simple.
Jacek, let's get into the Decentraland partnership on Adshares right now. What is the likelihood of an average company, whether it's maybe it's a Fortune 500 brand, or maybe it's a startup brand that could utilize the Adshares technology to advertise within Decentraland today? How close are we seeing that happen today?
Technically, we are seeing that happening already.
Okay.
So whoever you are, if you can be a user from a background, if you own a parcel, if you're a creator, if you have any kind of access to the building tools, you can just integrate advertising, integrate our network into what you're doing. So when I tested that myself, and you can join the ad server using your MetaMask wallet, logging with single click, and you can start managing your parcels. So parcels in general, sites on these parcels, because every shape that's addressable is a different inventory on your ad server. So you can start right now. The only challenge we have, like I said, it's because on one hand, we need to connect more sites and more advertising placements onto the protocol in order to have a valuable offer for advertisers. So now it's one will not fly without the other.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. As far as running an ad server, because this is obviously going to be one of the key things that really start to make this occur, at least at scale level, and especially as you get into other metaverse environments, what is it going to take for someone to run an ad server?
It depends on the scale, because the ad servers are here and they are ready for the taking. Like I said, if you just type in one web address, you just log in with your wallet, and you can set up your own campaign. You could do it yourself. You could do it within the next 15 minutes, and we could do it together. But this is the simplest possible solution. If you are a big Fortune 500 companies and you want accountability, trackability, targeting, measurement, everything, then you would be better off in owning one of the nodes in the network, becoming the network validator, setting up your own points of entry of access to the databases, deciding of what will be yours and yours only, and what stays on the chain.
Now, okay, so you're saying that within the ad tech itself, and I would say ad tech meaning from the side of Adshares, the server connectivity obviously into the metaverse, you're obviously pointing into a blockchain protocol. That server and of course the Adshares blockchain tech itself, does it have all of the ingredients that you would traditionally see in other advertising mechanisms, such as targeting, demographic profiles, things of that, any kind of metadata that's coming over from blockchain, whether it's a metaverse that's giving us metadata back? The interface that's occurring on Adshares, that's essentially where all the targeting mechanisms would be done. Is that also where pricing is set, or potentially the exchange rate for being able to actually publish an ad?
I'm not sure about the exchange rate, but otherwise everything is exactly like you're saying. It's a very simple. One thing needs to be mentioned at this point, because blockchain is very transparent, but it's very private at the same time. So the targeting and segmentation techniques that we know from history will not fly here. Yep. We already have a partner. They're called Cookie3, and they actually, based on the data from different providers, among others from us, they create their own behavioral profiles based on your wallet. So this is the possibility of targeting in the near future. But going back to the ad server functionality, I am I'm a psychologist, I'm a copywriter, so I work with pen and paper, and I actually even brought a copybook right here. But I tried to do it myself, to use it myself, to see it with my own eyes. And it's really simple. You can just set up your account, upload your creative, decide on your budget, configure everything. You can target on geographies. You can select your geographies or languages in which the ad would fly. Right now, we are very precise site-based targeting, where you can actually choose the site in Decentraland where your billboard would be shown. So this is coming very soon. And otherwise, I think we're the only protocol that seeks to automate advertising across the metaverses, because we're already integrated with CryptoVoxels. You can run the same campaign, one banner in CryptoVoxels, in Decentraland, in the metaverses to be announced very soon.
I was looking at the Cookie 3 partnership, Drake's concert, able to set up their marketing campaign targeted to Metaverse users through the Adshares protocol based on user profiles, which had obviously been interpreted through the Cookie 3 data engine. This is going to be an interesting way to see this information in terms of data, because obviously the big issue right now with advertising, I think in traditional, when I say traditional, meaning online, let's assume it's someone like Meta/Facebook, Instagram, et cetera, whether even on Twitter to a certain extent. A lot of this personal data is based on our graph, our social graph, and our behavior within those ecosystems that feeds us those ads. How will the Adshares device or platform be able to interpret that kind of social, in this case, metaverse behavior, to understand the kind of ads that would make sense in terms of targeting? Is there anything that you guys are doing already that would solve that problem?
This is a very good point, actually, because we are not doing it ourselves, because we would need to build another team to actually do that with due diligence and putting enough effort, as much as is required. But our protocol and our chain provides the data for a company that could be established by one of our partners and would develop their own data collection and analysis competencies. I think this is the size, the scale of the changes that are coming. I like this slide when we say, there was marketing and internet marketing. And suddenly, digital marketing just spurred, thousands of new companies just working on the premise that there is an internet advertising. Same here. There is metaverse advertising, and we envision the future being, creating us actually helping create or recreate or transform thousands of businesses that want to do marketing communication, but they want to do it in a transparent way on blockchain. So we would provide the data. It would be based on our chain, but we would need partners and community who would say, okay, I want to be an analytics company. I want to be the WARC of the metaverse, right? We're the advertising resource center, selling your own reports to the market based on the traffic analysis. This is something very inspiring. There's, metaverse is the first world where you can go on a scan site and you can actually employ your AI and your ML into trolling that data, seeking through that data, sifting through it, and giving you profiles. I think this is a revolution. We are not able to handle it. We're making the engine, but it's up for, the automotive industry is here to come. Here's the engine, but we don't know. We can't have our own motorboat business and our airplane business. We focus on the engine.
No, I understand.
But it works.
With that being the case, obviously within the advertising industry, the IAB standards that live here, at least in the US, those kind of were a little bit slow coming for the digital aspect. They've kind of caught up now, even to a certain extent, even with things like podcasting and traditional video ads. But what we are now jumping to, this was just a quick article here, 3D ads, of course, coming to Facebook, Instagram, kind of in their step towards the metaverse. And could we see IAB standards start to roll in on a global level? And if that is the case, how will Adshares structure? Because if Adshares is the rails, so to speak, of advertising vehicles, and now we start to see technology companies just like AdTech that have kind of attached to what we know of internet advertising today, if that starts to be the case, will there be a standard for the next evolution of advertising within the metaverse that will be met?
This is one of our aspirations. It's very fashionable for a brand to have a brand purpose. But once we realized the implications of Adshares and the blockchain becoming a standard, for us, I mean, for me as a person who comes from the regulated advertising market, it would be a natural development. Because so far, when there is no censorship, where there is full privacy, where there is full democratic access. Of course, you can say that this can change the world, but we all know that it also might open the way to some obscure businesses or illegal trade. And this is what most of the classical advertising business is afraid of. So we would see in our highest aspiration, if our infrastructure becomes the standard, then we absolutely see ourselves with the players, with the organizations who have more expertise and experience in setting global standards, working with them. We actually even brainstormed this idea of becoming the MIAB, the Metaverse Advertising Bureau. But there are people who know more, who have more experience, and we would, like we said in the videos, we want to share community. We don't believe that metaverse or the future can be built, like putting your notes behind your shoulder. We need to share things more. And
I
yes,
completely
we
understand.
do see that because we do want to help the world, become a better place. Again, it's an overplayed sentence, but when we think that everyone can set up their advertising business, everyone can advertise everything for the same price, with the same transparency, you can see where it's going. It's a massive change. So helping people regulate
those are
and
big statements
helping
right
to
there.
understand how to use this.
Those are
Sorry, come
definitely
again?
those are huge statements. And with that being the case, I mean, obviously you're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar industry right now. When you think of global advertising, you look at someone like a Google Ads and really Google in general and their ability to target the algorithms that are in place in many of the interfaces that reside in the open web today. How long before you think Google becomes a potential, I wouldn't say competitor, but at least starts to address this market? Because right now the metaverse is very, very small. We're seeing what could be 1% of 1% that is really starting to move.
Exactly.
Even on our show, I mean, we're just scratching the tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg. What are your thoughts on what that might look like in, say, 18 months if Google, Facebook / Meta really start to accelerate on metaverse and/or in general blockchain advertising?
I would love to see what's happening in their IT labs. We are all very curious of what's happening right there. But I would say thinking about us as competitors might be sexy, but not entirely accurate.
Right.
Because if the likes of Google or Facebook or even advertising agencies, the global ones like Havas, they have their own blockchain division. They're called Havas Blockchain.
Yep.
If they develop their own solutions, their own low level, base level, as I love when you call it the railroad, the railworks for the future. If they develop a better network, a faster, lighter, more efficient, then there will be competition. But so far, the lighter, faster network is kind of ready. So we see them as it's kind of sexy to think that Google is the Goliath and we are the David and we are swinging our swing. But I think that in the future might bring conversations about integration, and we might be the basic provider of infrastructure for the likes of Google if they want to put their game in this decentralized, transparent world. Because otherwise, there are no big differences.
Yeah, what are your thoughts when you look at these closed gardens? I mean, if you look at even from an aspect of someone like Amazon, which I think a lot of people forget that Amazon, their advertising business is one of the largest in the world. Then you've got Google, also somewhat isolated within a certain set of browsers. Then you've got Facebook / Meta, also isolated in a walled garden within Instagram and Facebook. the blockchain is so much more open. The opportunity for interoperability is real. The likelihood of seeing a lot more democratization is real. Do you think that the blockchain is going to leave those kinds of companies behind unless they're willing to make a change?
I do believe so, but as usually in with human beings, it depends on human beings, because there are different. We are used to having easy.
Yeah.
And we all know that the transition from the convenient world of being the product, as we like to say, of being the data point in Google's databases, to owning your own identity online, it's not an easy path. You need to understand the theory. You need to set up your own wallet. You need to understand the dangers and perils of actually going into blockchain, because there are many, right? Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
But so if human beings decide that they are comfortable using all their lives services in somebody else's garden and sharing their data with somebody else, I mean, I get into 4 or 5 services today using single login.
Yeah.
But I know I'm aware that all this data lands somewhere behind a wall where I will never reach it. I can download it in a zip file, but it's not mine. And I think we are seeing there are so many forces at play right now. Like I'm saying,
Yeah.
it's all so connected that the snowball will not be here. It's even a three-headed hydra. Yeah, there is the blockchain, there is this world, and there are the users. And if they don't go and get on board, if they don't decide that, yes, I want to have access, I want to protect my own privacy, I want to enter this world of more
Yeah.
profits, to be honest.
And that is the argument I make often here on our show, is that, the realization of, I think, most modern day, individuals, that especially when you look at Gen Z and the millennials to a certain extent on a global standpoint, anyone under the age of 40, they understand the sacrifices that they have made from a data perspective to get into these walled gardens. Some of them, they've accepted that, but I think there just hasn't been an alternative. So when we do see ecosystems, whether it is Metaverse, the potential of online play to earn gaming, the whole evolution of what we could see in a new e-commerce era starting to rise within blockchain, it's very possible we could see that under 40, which soon will be under 50 by the time this matures, that we could see a new evolution of how consumers, users, really address and react to those kind of things, which could put kind of a line in the sand, much like it did with the old era of advertising before we saw this new era of ad tech and kind of internet advertising really take off in the last decade. So I think that you're right, definitely some stuff that could be moving in that direction. For sure. I want to get into a couple of things here from a technical aspect. When you look at advertising opportunities, there's obviously blockchain in itself is somewhat proficient, but also has the potential to really be very effective in the future, especially as we start to really discover a lot of the ways it can be used. But when you look at non-fungible tokens or NFTs in general, the opportunity could open up within the NFT space. Do you think we could see advertising models or mechanisms within NFT architectures in the future?
Yes, I can see that.
All right.
Definitely, because the way I tend to think about it is the first in vitro stake. The first in vitro stake cost about $300,000.
Yep.
Right? But as the technology progresses, the price drops. I think it's my personal opinion that right now we are seeing this overhyped tendency to seeing NFTs as something very, of course, unique, but very valuable. But I think about it when as prices of minting drop and the application goes beyond some tokens and having fun with some dubious art, that the price of NFTs will drop, their applications will expand, and I'm seeing the future where NFT works as if it were a leaflet handed to you on the street, because we do have NFT drops. Just imagine somebody in the metaverse handing out NFTs on intersection for other users to collect them, like in Neil Stephenson's. When you read The Snow Crash, there are these smart cards. You can say a smart card is an NFT that contains some kind of data.
That's
that
a good
you
reference.
actually hand out like tickets. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So I think if it works, because the value, the price makes things more accessible, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the trend. This is exactly the history. So in the future, when everyone can start their own operation and build their own creative assets and sell them, invest in them, exchange, and just think about, we have this strategy, tactics of leaflets where you bring them to the store and you get a discount. Just metaphorize this into the metaverse, and you know how you can give people discounts on new set of your apparel collection next spring, right? And you hand out to people in forms of small thing, an item that they can actually wear, try on, and if they bring it back to the store, they get it for free, or they get it forever, or they get a discount for something else, or an accessory. The imagination is the only barrier, and we know it doesn't have any. So
yeah, and I think NFTs have really exploded in terms of just the uniqueness of around how it's going to be utilized in the future, for sure.
I think Gartner has answered. I mean, I love these models because we are exactly now at the very top, like you said, the peak of the peak of the peak of the iceberg of the Gartner hype cycle, and we are already frustrated with how much we hear about it, but we haven't found the true utility of them.
Yeah.
So we said, I mean, in these mountains, we are setting up our home on the trove of not trove of disappointment, but the plateau of productivity, right?
Yeah, I look at it like this is Alpe d'Huez.
It's inflated expectations. Pardon?
I look like it like this is Alpe d'Huez in the Tour de France. It's just when you face that mountain on a bike, it's like the most unbelievable, daunting task. But then it's pretty amazing at the top. I want to run through your. I want to get into your roadmap, but I want to look at the partnership. So obviously, programmatic ads partnership here. That's a big deal. In essence, you also did a partnership here with Polka City, and then the Crypto Voxels as well, also as a partnership. In your recent tweet, though, here, this was a very interesting tweet that we kind of caught. I was running down through, and then tomorrow, this was March 24th, tomorrow we'll show you something interesting. Big blue dot.
It must be you. It must be what we're doing right now.
Let's assume that is the PBN.
So we can say that was the teaser. Here's the reveal. Yes, the blue dot is this man right here.
All right, very good. All right, well, good. Well, great. You got onto TechPath. That's a good reveal. Well, at least it gets you out there in the space, I think, of awareness and what's happening. Last couple of questions here for you in terms of future partnerships in the near future. I know you guys are traveling here to the U.S. You're coming into Miami, our home city. Lots happening here in the next couple of weeks. Can you reveal any things that you're going to be talking about, or at least give us some ideas of what it might look like here in the next few months for Adshares?
Like we said, we are only traveling right now to spread the word. So we don't have any speeches booked, but we are there to make connections.
Gotcha.
Make connections, meet the influencers, meet the ad tech business, meet people from the, like you said, traditional world, which as a 45 years old person is still what's traditional anymore. We say drum and bass is 25 years old.
You just got to visit New York, get on Madison Avenue and just go door to door right there, and I think that'll pretty much do it.
Exactly, that's what we might be doing. No, but really, we are only now traveling to make new relationships, and this is our main marketing, is gaining exposure and becoming known as the blockchain, the first blockchain solution that is designed and created with the ad tech in mind. So this is our absolutely main objective, because like I said, the product is ready, the protocol is being improved every minute, because we're working all together in this one office. So when something goes wrong, we just fix it.
Yeah, sure.
We don't even call it agile. We just keep doing.
Yeah, Jacek, I mean, our viewers, our listeners are going to want me to ask this question, and that is, when you look at Sandbox, you look at Axie Infinity, two of the biggest potential metaverses out there, that could potentially really benefit from something like this, especially to scale, what are the likelihoods of us seeing a partnership in the near future with those two platforms?
I guess the moment you uttered the sentence, they just grew.
That's a
But
good thing.
I keep joking. It's a great thing. No, but we actually, this is our path with, being integrated with Decentraland, with CryptoVoxels, with Polka City. We are aiming to, again, old world word, but dominate this space. We would love the ones like TCG World or Sandbox. We're actually reaching out to them, but this just might help. To reach out to them to be the protocol of choice, because with Polkadot, I guess it works gradually, because with CryptoVoxels we just did it, we just developed the code and made it available to anyone. With Decentraland, we already talked to the guys and we know that it's a feasible solution. But with Polkadot, we had conversations from day one that there would be a partnership, that we would be considered as you said, the railroad, not something that would be glued or added or plugged in once the method is ready, but to be, a partner that would help build the rail works for the future advertising.
I like it, for sure.
Somnium Space, Axie Infinity, TCG, like I mentioned, they're all on our shopping list, so to say.
Excellent. Jacek, it's been great having you on the show today, and I'm very excited about seeing how this develops for Adshares. We try to identify, some of the projects that really we think that are going to reframe how business is going to be done in a lot of different areas. We do think the advertising sector is going to be a big one, and obviously you guys have been a first mover, so congrats on all you're doing over there. We definitely want to get you back on as things progress. So we'll stay tight and learn a lot more about Adshares in the future. But thanks for stopping in. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It was an honor and a great pleasure. Great talking to you.
You bet. All right. So you guys are tuned in over here on the podcast right now. For the audio listeners of our show, listen, the best place to really get the real 101 here on TechPath and also on our Metaverse Insider show is over here on YouTube. You'll be able to jump in, just search Paul Barron Network. You'll find us on YouTube. Like and subscribe to a couple of videos. That gives us a little bit of algorithm play so we can understand and we ourselves can help monetize our network and hopefully bring you guys more and more content. But the number one thing you should do is something that's totally free for you, and that is jump into the Diamond Circle. That's our private member group where we do giveaways, all sorts of things. We're doing a giveaway today in the email list where we are giving away some Ethereum today. So if you're already in the Diamond Circle, you will get an email later today with a couple of winners. So make sure and open that email. But also, if you want to reach me, it's out on Twitter @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.